Good morning, students. Let's start with a new chapter today, self-control. This is also the part of your second term syllabus. I'm sure you must have got your syllabus. Just mark the chapters that you have, and self-control is one of them. It is the part of your syllabus. I'm sorry. Open page number 30. It is here. Now, what do you understand by self-control? Self-control means when you can actually control yourself. It could be emotionally, it could be physically, it could be mentally. So when you have that power of controlling yourself, you become successful, right? You don't let your emotions come in between your decisions. You don't let your physical or your mental hurt cloud your decision. So what is self-control? When you know how to control yourself emotionally, physically and mentally, which now it is one of the most important skills or traits that a person should have. That is self-control, right? So let's see what it says here. You can win or you can lose. You have to be ready for both. This is life. Life is beautiful and it's a beautiful journey. See, when you get something that is unexpected, it's a kind of a surprise. So, a person should always be prepared for both the things. It could be a win or it could be your loss. So, it depends. Whatever it is, a person should always be ready to accept both. So, you can win or you can lose. It depends. But you should be ready to accept both. Please do not expect a lot, but be prepared for anything. I practiced self-control as a kid. So, okay, let's see what happens here. Now, these are your learning objectives. Let's go through them. Victories and defeats are integral part of life. Most important part of our life is what? Victories and defeats. Now, it could be, please understand, we're talking about your mental, your physical, your emotional victories and defeats. So please never think that we're talking about only the battle part, only the fighting part. We're talking about, general things here. So please understand here, when it says victories and defeats are integral part of life, it means they're the most important part of our life. We should be or we should learn to accept them. Give me a minute. So apart from that, see the second point. We need to have a full control over our emotions in both good and bad times. We should know how to control our emotions, We should never let our emotions take control of our mind, never. See, what happens is sometimes, I'll give you a general example. Sometimes what happens is, you have, for example, your teacher divides you into different teams, and your partner, for example, is a person whom you hate, or maybe you don't like that person, but you have to work together. So what happens here is you have to win. It's a kind of a competition, and you are in a team, both of you. You have to perform well, and in case if you let your emotions enter in, if you let your hatred enter in, then what happens is you'll never win. Why? Because your hatred is there in your heart and you don't feel like working with that next person. So what you don't let your emotions come in between. So when your emotions are not there, they are not controlling your mind, that is the time when you perform. That is the time when you win. Is that clear? Let's see that. Let's see the third point. Never lose heart when you are unsuccessful. Okay, this part is important. So suppose in case if you're unable to win, and you have lost the match maybe, and just remember, never lose heart. Don't be so disheartened that you start crying, you start breaking things, you start throwing things. No. Win and lose is just a part of life. So if you ever lose a game. If you're not successful, never lose heart. Keep trying. I've told you that earlier as well. Just keep trying, work hard. See the second part of the same sentence. Never lose your mind when you are unsuccessful. Oh, and please, when you are successful, you must have seen the person who is always successful is very arrogant. So you have to make sure that if you are very successful, you're not at all arrogant and you're not at all proud, because these are the qualities that makes you look bad. Okay, then see the the fourth one. With self-control comes the grace to live with respect during easy and tough times. Now see, there could be easy times, there could be tough times. But if you have self-control, you can control your needs, you can control your emotions, you can control your mind, everything. Then you know how to be successful, how to live in peace, right? How to live your life with grace. Okay, next. Learn to accept failures and improve, for failures are the stepping stones to success. Yes, of course. Learn to live with failure. What's the harm in it? You fail once. Second time when you attempt, you know most of the things because of the first failure. So it's a kind of a stepping stone. You're coming up. Then that is how you grow. You make another mistake, you learn from that mistake, and you grow again. So these are your stepping stones. They'll help you in moving forward. So if you are scared to take risks, then stay wherever you are. You will understand. You'll become a stone yourself, a stepping stone for the other person then. So what you have to do is you have to try. Okay, we have a story here. Let's read it. I'm sure it's a beautiful story. Story time. Mary was a young girl of 12 whose parents worked in the fields. You understand fields? We're talking about the agriculture. Life was very hard for them as they were poor, but they were never unhappy. So maybe life was hard, they were poor, but their family was never unhappy. Everyone worked hard in the fields and ate only fish and rice every day. So these three, maybe they used to work very hard, really hard in the fields, and every day they used to eat the same food. What was it? The fish and rice. I'm sorry. If someone managed to catch a bird, it was a day of celebration. Okay, they even liked eating birds, so any day they must, any one of them, they caught a bird, then it was a kind of a party for them, celebration. Another family who would be invited to join in with the meal. Oh, so they've got a bird to eat. What they'll do is they'll invite another family as well, and they all can have a small celebration or a party kind of a thing. Mary had a few toys. Her mother made her a rag doll. Rag doll means she must have taken a cloth and filled it with some other stuff, and she made a doll out of it, cloth, with the help of a cloth. And her father made a little wooden bed for it to sleep in. And maybe her father must be into woodcraft and all, so he must have made a wooden bed for the doll. Other toys were just pieces of broken crockery or kitchen tools or containers which had to be given back to be used to prepare the fish and rice. So other toys that she had were just the kitchen tools, the crockery, the broken things that she had, and even if she were playing, or when she used to play, she had to sometimes return them back to her mother so that she can use it for cooking the food, right? After that, Mary had a friend who lived nearby. Her name was Lynn. The two girls made up stories about adventures on their horses. Pieces of rope were tied to their imaginary horses, and they galloped to faraway places, where they found beautiful jewels and caves to bring home to make their parents rich. Now these two girls, what they used to imagine, now it's an imagination, so they used to imagine that they are on their horses riding through the caves and collecting jewels to make their parents proud, to make them rich. They thought if they were rich, they would be able to eat the kinds of dishes that kings and princes ate. Certainly not fish and rice. So they had this kind of a thought that if they were rich, then they would be able to eat good dishes. Not only rice and fish, then they'll get some good food that kings and queens they eat. One winter, the snow came early and stayed for a very long time. So one winter, what happened? The snow started snowing and it stayed pretty late. Everyone had their stores of rice in sacks kept safely away from rodents. These are the rats and the insects actually, the big rats, they eat the rice and the grains. So they had they had the rice in a sack, these sacks full of rice, and they kept it safe from rodents. Their dried and salted fish were hung high near the ceiling. So what they used to do, they used to dry the fish and hang it on the ceiling. Mary's mother was worried that there would not be enough food to last the winter. Now Mary's mother was scared that, okay, we haven't collected enough food to last the winter. There was enough rice, but the fish was nearly used up. They had enough rice, but the fish was nearly used up. It was pretty less. Soon, most of the meals were made from rice alone. And finally, what happened? The fish, it got consumed. There was no more fish. And then they had to make food only with the rice part. Mary began to realize she actually loved to eat fish. And suddenly, Mary realized that she loved fish. She loved eating fish. The rice was so plain without it. She complained to her mother. So she's a kid. She's just a kid. So she told her mother that, see, mother, I love fish, and the rice is too plain for me to eat without a fish. Okay, so she complained. She said she would not like to eat rice without fish. So she said, I'll not eat rice without fish. Her mother came and sat beside her. Rice is very good for us. It is important for our survival. We must be grateful that we have rice to eat. So this is what her mother must have told her. That, see, rice is good for us. It is good for our survival. And, we should be grateful. We should be thankful that we have rice to eat. Some people have no fish and no rice at all. How do you think they feel? They must be very hungry. We must be happy because we are not hungry. So she is telling her, she's giving her an example. So think about the time. So think about the time when people, they have nothing to eat. So imagine, so we are much better than them. Give me a minute.